Hi, I'm Diana Urban, and welcome to People and Politics. But right now we decided to do this off-site. So I happen to be sitting in the Capitol with one of, if not my favorite, former senator and now commissioner, Edith Prague. And before I introduce her, I'm going to tell a quick story about her. When I was teaching economics at Three Rivers Community College, before I was a rep, and I was asking my class, Edith, who do you know in government? Do you know who the governor is? And people were like, maybe one or two were like, oh yeah, maybe. They sort of knew who the president was. They had a vague idea that they had a state representative. But I would say 85% of that class knew one name, and that name was Edith Prague.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think the work that you have done, the passion that you have, the way that you've represented your district, and certainly before when you were with the Weicker as governor, you just have gotten into the hearts of people.
Well, thank you for that. And I especially love to go and talk to a group of kids and tell them about state government and what's involved and encourage them to consider running, because they really are our future.
That's one of the things that makes me crazy, when people say kids are our future, and then as well as I do, the votes come up on the floor, and all of a sudden they're not there to vote for the kids, for our future. And I think it happens with senior issues too.
Well, the seniors aren't our future, but the seniors are going to affect what we do in the future, in the very near future, because they are the fastest growing segment of our population. And with growing older comes lots of problems and issues that we have to deal with. Certainly the cost of health care is an enormous burden on the state budget. But it isn't only the cost of health care, it's providing an opportunity for seniors to be in the community and not be stuck in nursing homes.
Oh, Edith, if you could figure that out,
We're working on it.
Well, please, because I have talked to people who said their greatest fear is being taken away from things that they're familiar with and put into an institution.
Yep.
So tell me, how do you envision us getting seniors back in the homes, getting home care, getting, some sort of compensation if people are taking care of their aging parents?
First of all, we have programs at the State Department on Aging that have been around for several years that were part of the unit on aging that was under the Department of Social Services. We have a caregivers program that's funded from the federal government and goes through the area agencies on aging. We have 5 area agencies on aging in the state. And we have federal dollars that come down for programs that come to the Department on Aging that we funnel out to the area agencies on aging. And not only do we have a family caregiver program, but we're also involved with the Money Follows the Person program. That happens to be under the Department of Social Services, where we play a very active role in that Money Follows the Person program. And I have been in touch. I've actually nagged Office of Policy and Management.
Oh, Edith, you nagging? When did you ever nag?
This Money Follows the Person is so stupid. The program can't go into place until somebody's been in the nursing home for 3 months. And then they're a candidate to come home. And
yeah, wow.
I know, it's so stupid.
It's backwards. It's like, what?
Right. Do it up front before they go into the nursing home.
Because they lose ground in the nursing home. If they're in their home, At least
right.
that's been my experience.
That's right. They get better faster.
Yeah.
They're able to help themselves better. It's cheaper for the state. So I continue to make an issue out of this. Let's get our congressional delegation to reverse this and put the money up front before people wind up in the nursing home.
Well, you know, you mentioned results-based accountability. Honey, I am there with you. I will do the RBA work on that to show how stupid is this policy.
I know.
What's the result that we're looking for? We're looking for a result of people getting better, faster, happier with their family. So you don't dump them in the nursing home for 3 months until you
let 'em
figure
stay
out,
there.
right, that you want to bring them home.
Good.
I don't know.
I always enjoyed working with you.
Oh, well, hey,
Now
you know,
I already feel better.
I always knew, Edith,
So
make sure that I was on your side of the issue, because I never
I've
wanted
been
to
in
be
touch with Ben
on the
Barnes
other.
on this.
Good for you.
I'm not going to let go because I just think it's just plain stupid.
I love it because
Yeah.
you see, you have always spoken truth to power. I've never known you not to tell exactly the way it is. And I think that's probably what, when I first came in as a rep, that I was attracted to you.
I mean, I called Blumenthal's office and have left a message for him to get in touch with me because he serves on the Select Committee on Aging in the Senate in Washington.
Yep.
So I'm not going to let this go. It's unconscionable. It's too stupid for words.
One word to describe you is tenacity. I have never ever seen you drop an issue. And I've sat on appropriations with you, and I've seen you go after some issues.
Speaking of appropriations.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have spoken of appropriations.
I know. I'm like, what's going to happen to appropriations and to the Senate with Tony running for mayor in New Haven?
Edith.
I mean, she wants it, and I hope she wins, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help her.
As will I, but
I know. What a loss.
I know.
What a loss for the Senate.
she has such a way about her. First of all, an enormous and complete understanding, but the way her personality, her calmness, her willingness to work through an issue, is she's amazing.
She is amazing.
But
And
hey,
the city of New Haven will be blessed having her as their mayor.
I guess it's the vicissitudes of life and politics. You just have to, you have to kind of go with the flow.
When I heard she was going to run for mayor, I called Don Williams and I said, "Oh my God, what are you going to do now? The Senate's going to fall apart."
We'll just bring you back, Edith. We're going to make you. We're going to tell you can. Now, I had a quick question for you. When you were doing the Commissioner of Aging, and from the chronology, if you look at your story, that they wanted to cut your budget and you said no?
What happened was when Lowell Weicker asked me to be the Commissioner on Aging, I had to give up my seat in the House that I had held, and I was reelected to my seat. And I said, okay, the seniors have always been very important to me. I'll take the job. So I gave up my seat in the House, and I took the position as Commissioner on Aging, and I was there a very short time when he decided to consolidate state government and take the Department of Human Resources, the Department of Income Maintenance, and my Department on Aging and roll them into this big Department of Social Services.
Which has been a bear ever since.
Right.
But go ahead.
And give the Department on Aging this little cubby hole. And I said to him, I'm not agreeing to that. I'm not going to agree to that. I will not help you do that. And he said, well, I'll fire you. I said, well, you're the boss, If that's what it takes, and that's what it takes. And he fired me.
Hey, but what goes around comes around.
I'm the recycled commissioner.
The commissioner, after a wonderful, wonderful career in the Senate, and then to be able to take your expertise, Edith, and your abilities, and your core values, your heart, and go on and go back to being the commissioner, I just think it's so lucky for the state of Connecticut.
And the nice thing for me is that I have the most wonderful group of employees that came over from the Unit on Aging and are now part of this Department on Aging. Most of them are social workers.
Yep.
And they are wonderful. They're dedicated to their jobs. They're dedicated to each other. There's no backbiting. There's no backstabbing. And we're going to do some great stuff. Right now, one of them is working on a program that I picked up. I went to a health fair in Hartford at one of the senior centers in the South End. And I picked up this brochure that had a picture of a couple of seniors on it and said, "Are you okay?" The commission in Hartford has a program where seniors who are isolated, who have no family, and are alone, can sign up for this telephone call that comes in on a daily basis.
Oh, how great.
And says to them,
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
How you doing?
Yeah.
Wow. You know, so simple.
Right.
So simple, but so meaningful.
Important.
Yeah.
And so if the person is okay, you know, I'm okay.
But even if they're okay, Edith, it's that touch from outside.
Knowing that somebody else cares.
Yeah, somebody actually cares. Wow.
We are working on that.
Low cost, no cost. I love it.
Right, low cost, no cost. And we're going to do that statewide. We're going to go from town to town, from city to city, and we're going to institute this program across the state. Because wherever I go, wherever I see seniors, there are always those that have nobody.
Oh,
their
it's
kids
so
have
sad.
grown and they're gone
know.
off, or they never had children to begin with.
Or their peers have passed on,
Right.
And they don't have that
And they're
peer
all
group
alone
anymore.
And nobody cares. But we're going to find somebody who cares.
That's what I love about you.
That we're going to do it.
Now, when I came in, you and I briefly chatted about being in Groton and talking about these scams. And for people that are watching, pay attention, because these senior scams
Pay
are
close
really
attention.
nasty. So tell them about the one that involved Joe Courtney. And
I was actually at the forum with Congressman Courtney in Groton. And he was telling the story about this shyster out there who called his mother-in-law. And you know how grandparents are with their grandchildren. I would kill for my grandson.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And so this creep calls his mother-in-law
That's
and
creep.
says, "Your grandson's been arrested. You send me $5,000, $3,000 or $5,000, some enormous amount of money for her,
money.
and we'll keep him out of jail." And she was about to do it, and then she decided she better call Joe first, fortunately. So she calls Joe and says, "Did you know your son was arrested?" And Joe says, "My son was arrested?" So he picked up the phone and he called his son. He says, "What's going on there?" And his son says,
I'm at work.
"What do you mean, what's going on? I'm at work." So he tells the son the story, and the kid says, "You know, there's something wrong here. I've been at work all day, and I've never been arrested." So anyhow, he called his mother-in-law back and said, "Don't send anything, and don't answer the phone anymore. If somebody calls and you don't recognize the number,
Just
or if you
don't.
pick it up and you don't recognize the voice, hang up." But there are, I'm telling you, there are really shysters out there who can make up these terrible stories,
Edith,
and they suck the seniors in.
what my mom, when she was living over in New York, now she's living with me after my dad died. But after my dad died, she was by herself with a caretaker for about 6 months before I moved her over. She was still okay, except for she would get these phone calls, and she's 86 at the time, and they would be pushy. And her caretaker would get on the phone and say, "No, you can't, you know, she's not going to do this." And they'd say, "You give her back to us. You can't answer for her." And it was like, what? I mean, it's push, so that then she'd get nervous, and in order to get them away would say yes. Do you know? Just to keep them to get off the phone, she'd say yes to whatever it was that they were saying. Give them their credit card number or give them the bank account, so that we had to do what you were talking about. Mom, do not answer the phone unless you recognize when it comes up on the caller ID.
Rampant. And there are such stories out there. There was one woman at the Groton Senior Center that said she lost $11,000 because she was sucked in.
Was that the one in the paper? Yeah, that was in the New London Day. What happened with her? What was the 11,000?
She got sucked into some kind of a proposal where she was going to get so much money if she sent them this $11,000.
Yeah, that was it.
And then there's this other issue with Medicare is issuing new Medicare cards. So we need your old Medicare number, which is your Social Security number. Don't give anybody your Medicare number or your Social Security number, because you'll be in big trouble.
Wait a second, let's repeat that. I'm just going to look directly. Do not give anybody your old Medicare number. It is your Social Security number. Don't do it.
I'm telling you, tell them to drop dead and not call you anymore.
Did you hear that? Drop dead. Just practice it. Stand in front of the mirror and go, drop dead.
It's awful. As a matter of fact, the commissioner from the Department of Consumer Protection came over one day to tell us about the number of calls that he was getting on these scams.
Yeah.
And we now have a brochure that we're issuing that we'd be happy to send. And as a matter of fact, the young woman who's in charge of the senior center directors is going to send them to every senior center. Gives all the numbers in the back that seniors can call, and the Department of Consumer Protection is clearly listed there. This really, it's like an epidemic.
Well, it's, you know, I think it's partially a function of the economy, too. When the economy gets as tight as it is, people start doing this. But I would also say, and I'm going to include that brochure in my mailer to my constituents, but people need to remember they can just dial 211. And 211, they will be able to get some help. If they can't remember a number or they don't have the brochure in front of them, a 211
will do it.
Will get them to a person who will help them. Not, you know, you don't get one of these press this number, press that number. You actually get a person. So, you know, for a senior who's getting uptight, that can be, you know, really critical. So,
anyhow.
You know, another one of my favorite subjects with you, Edith, is aside from all the tremendous work you've done on appropriations, the work you've done on labor. I mean, as the chair of the labor committee, you know, you want to deal with somebody who was not going to move on an issue, minimum wage. I remember that one. And of course, who does Edith grab? Come on, Diana, you're going to do this with me. Do I ever say no?
No.
I never say no. I'm like, okay, Edith, let's go. But there's another issue that's very dear to my heart that you have always been supportive of, and that's animals, animal cruelty, the ability, and you know we just got that animal therapy bill passed so that we will be able to bring animal therapy teams in with DCF workers.
I tell you, that's wonderful. I have a little dog.
I know you do.
You know, I used to bring my dog to the Capitol every day with me, and she was wonderful. She stayed in the office. She didn't bother anybody. But one day she decided to take a little trip, and she waltzed herself over to the Public Health Committee room. And the next thing I know, I got a call from the Capitol Police. Senator, you can't bring that dog in here anymore. Why? What did my dog do?
She's a terrorist.
Yes, she's a terrorist. She pooped on the rug in the Public Health Committee room.
Well, that's why she had to go to the Public Health. She wasn't going to do it in your room. She had to go to somebody else's room.
How did you know it was my dog?
The real story. How'd you know it's my dog? Because there are like 10 dogs running around the Capitol.
And they have these, we found out they have these cameras all over the place, and they caught her on camera. So,
busted.
But I love her anyway.
She was busted.
Yes, she was busted, that's right.
Yes, but you know, you and I have talked about...
I think every senior citizen should have some kind of a pet. You know, you come home, that door opens and that little pet is waiting there for you with unconditional love. Boy, there is nothing that warms your heart more than that. My little dog is a diabetic, and I have to give her insulin twice a day.
I remember when we'd be in session till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you'd have to be getting, it was either a neighbor or a friend that would take care of her for you. I remember that, Edith. I remember it. And that keeps her on the...
that keeps her going.
Yep.
I wouldn't part with her for anything.
Well, you know...
I'm telling you, there are pets out there who are waiting for a home. And if you have space in your home for a little pet, it'll bring you more pleasure than you can imagine.
I think it's so absolutely, absolutely true. And you know, for the people that are in nursing homes and we can't get them out, there are therapy dog people that do it out of the goodness of their heart. The volunteers go in with these dogs,
Yeah.
and it's amazing the response. You know, because they're people who had pets and remember it, and just the softness of the dog's fur, or the tail wagging, and the happiness. You know, I'd like to do that for everybody. I'd really like to be able to just say, we just do this. We're just in there and we allow the therapy dogs. And I guess some of the nursing homes have resident cats, and the cats are like, they know who's not feeling well, and they make sure they see the person who's not feeling well.
Cats are very smart.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a dog lover myself, but I do have to admit that cats are really
Yeah, they
very
really
smart.
are.
Yeah.
They really are. They might come across as aloof, but I think they're just thinking too much. So well, all animals are amazing, and it's been one of the things that you and I have connected on, because we have this deep, abiding love for animals, and then the horror at animal cruelty, and what animal cruelty says it's going to be the first sign of future violent behavior. You're cruel to a helpless animal, the next step is a child or a domestic partner or the elderly. You know,
Just
Edith,
another
it's
human
amazing that there is so much elderly abuse. It's, I don't know, maybe there's just too much violence in society, that people just watch it all the time, so people get violent. I don't know, you solve that one. But back to some of these scams. You got your brochure that goes out. It's amazing to me that no matter how much we educate, and I think it's because of the people that call are so pushy. Did the people that gave their stories at Groton talk about how much they got pushed by the person that was scamming them?
How they couldn't get off the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really bad. It's really bad. So again, let me say, if you have caller ID and you see a call coming in and you don't recognize the number, or if you pick up the phone and don't recognize the voice, hang up. Don't give the person on the other end of that phone a chance to even talk to you in any form or shape or manner.
I would also say that we had a couple of calls traced. You know, they were calling in and telling seniors that you could get a lower interest rate.
It's not
And
true.
then, no, it's not. But we traced a couple of the calls, and they were like these numbers that are not like even a toll free. It's like an out of the country number, so you can't even find out who's doing it.
Well, the call that came in to Congressman Courtney's mother-in-law about his son came from Montreal, Canada.
There you go.
Oh, imagine.
Right there. So, you know, there you have, you know, it's not even within the country. So how do we even have jurisdiction? Because that was one of the things that happened with some of the ones that we traced. Where's the jurisdiction? It's outside the United States.
I want to give my number so that if people have an issue and they want to call me, please, if you have a piece of paper there and a pen, write down this number, because I want you to call me with any issue that you need help with. The number is 860-424-5992. It's a lot of numbers, but...
No, when we put this on, we'll put it up on the screen
Fine.
For people, okay?
And they can get right
So
to
it'll
my
be right
phone in my
there.
office.
And you'll get to Edith immediately. So Edith, tell me, how do you like this transition? I mean, you've already been commissioner, that you were a representative, commissioner, senator, now commissioner again. How do you like the transition from the Senate to the commissioner?
You know, I love being the commissioner because working for the elderly has always been very much a part of my life. I loved it when I was a senator because the power of that position is enormous.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be at the new State Department on Aging because we're going to do some good things for the senior population in this state. We're already working with the commissioner from the Department of Transportation to look at improving transportation in the rural areas especially.
Are you talking about dial-a-ride, or are you talking?
No, we're talking about like the independent transportation network.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Different kind than
Yeah,
dial-a-ride,
yeah.
completely. But there are other commissioners who are also so willing to work, you know, for the same cause, work together. You can get things done. And that Are You OK program is something that I'm really determined to get off the ground.
Are you going to pilot that in some cities, or are you going to try to roll it out? Or
the young woman at the department who's working on it is investigating all the areas to see which towns have it, which towns don't, which towns would be interested. And we're going to work through cost, you know, the Council of Small Towns, and CCM, the Connecticut Council of Municipalities, to find out.
Isn't that the Council of Crying Mayors? Yeah. Only kidding. I shouldn't say that. Oops.
No, oops.
Oh well.
But we're going to spread this program statewide.
And the thing is, Edith, that you have so many contacts and so much legislation that you have done. So many things that
And
you
so
have
many
championed.
friends like you in the legislature
Yeah,
that I can count on.
right. You've got the ability to reach out and pull the pieces together
Yep.
that need to do.
We're using your program, Results-Based Accountability,
Yay!
to make sure that our programs are worth the money that we're spending on them.
I just love it when
Yep.
you say that. It's like
Yep.
music to my ears. You were wonderful on RBA when we were doing the report cards on appropriations, and you came in and sat down with a team and went through the report cards and said,
now we're
Diana,
gonna
I
use
need
it.
to understand this. I need you to show me how this all works. And look,
We're going to use
Now
it
you're gonna
in the
use it.
state, right, in the department, to make sure that we're spending our money really getting the best value for the dollar.
I love it. Looking back over your time in the Senate, was there one particular battle that meant a lot to you?
The paid sick time.
Woo. Oh my God, do I remember? How many times, Edith, did you put me on the spot on that one? Where I'd come
so
in, do you remember?
important to working people.
Of course there would be that one. And I would see you outside the committee room and I'd say, don't worry, I got the economics of this, we're good. So that was it.
The paid sick time was really one of my most important accomplishments. And then towards the end of the session, the people who work as caregivers, the home health aides,
Yep.
wanted to unionize.
Yep,
because
and you got that one.
Yeah, and we got that passed.
We've got about a few seconds here just to wrap this up, but that was where I really wanted to end it, was the ones that really meant the most to you. And those two, of course it does, it makes me laugh a little bit because I knew it when I'd see you in the hall. Diana, Edith, you have been an amazing, amazing power in Connecticut.
You know,
and we
I'm
are so
grateful for
fortunate.
the opportunity to have been in the legislature, because the power of an elected position is enormous. And you can do some wonderful things with it.
Well, we are so glad to have had you, and you know what? I might have to do another program with you because this went way too fast. See you next week.
Thank you.
So great.
Thank
So
you.
easy.